But still, the biggest takeaway from the entire draft experience for you is it's always you come in with the storyline, right, Rich? And then where does that storyline materialize? And when you walk away, is it still the big storyline? For you, what is that storyline? Is it still Kyler Murray as you walk to the airport?
Yeah, it's got to be. And I'll hit on this a little bit more tomorrow, probably in the open of the show. But we're leaving here with pretty much 90 to 95% of the combine thinking he's number one overall.
Wow.
Which coming in is kind of crazy, And Brockman, you and I, and we were on the air on the radio when his measurements came in the other day, and he was 5'10" and an eighth. And back in the day, somebody measures 5'10" and an eighth. You'd check the send home box. You'd be like, that's the end of that. Now somebody checked the 5'10" and an eighth box, and it's like, okay, he's ready. So that evaluation has totally changed for the quarterback, and I know that's what you were talking about last week, Chris, about that why do we have to measure this stuff, and what's the difference between 5'9" and 3/4 and 5'10" and 1/8? The answer is half an inch, but the evaluation has changed. I mean, there's no doubt that people are evaluating a quarterback of that size totally differently. And whether he's number one overall or not, I don't know. But we're leaving here thinking that that's the case, which means an incredibly talented defensive line group would get pushed further down if that happens, which means, the 49ers would get most likely Bosa. The Jets would have a choice between Quinnen Williams and other supremely talented defensive linemen. And, we might have the first 5 picks of the draft be defensive linemen if they don't even take Kyler Murray. But somebody's going to take him, I think, in the top 5 or trade up. And if it does go lineman for the start of the draft, I think that would be the Jets' dream, that there they are in the 3 spot with Kyler Murray. I think the phone would ring off the hook if that happens for them.
Well, let me ask you that, Rich, because that's our poll question today. Where should Kyler Murray be drafted? You said 95% of the combine thinks he's going number 1. Do you think he should go number 1 or top 10, first round, day 2 or later?
Well, I don't know. Well, how about this? I will. What are the results right now?
Right now, first round is leading the way at 38%.
Oh, yeah.
Top 10, 35%.
Yeah, I think he's the top 10 pick for sure. I think there's no question about it. There's no doubt about it. I would be stunned if he even fell out of the top 10. The question when we were talking about him deciding between football and baseball when we were, when we hung up the phone with him day before the Heisman when he was on our show, the question was, well, baseball or football, he's got to figure out what his draft status is. And, if he's the 32nd overall pick in the draft, he would make just only a handful of dollars less than what he's making as baseball. And that question is, that debate is over. I mean, that's an antiquated conversation. I mean, he is a top 10 pick as the day is long. And he's going to be a top 5 pick. I mean, there's tons of people who fell in love with this kid. Unless, something happens totally unforeseen. I think he's definitely a top 10.
The Rich Eisen Show, weekdays at noon Eastern on Audience.